You know, ever since I was a kid, I've been fascinated with World War II. How can you not be when you've got such really cool military vehicles as this 1942 half-track? And you know what's also cool about this half-track? It weighs 14,000 pounds, and that's why we have it on this very special heavy-duty episode of the Ike Gauntlet, where we've got the brand new Ford F-350 dually King Ranch, and of course, to help me out as always, I've got my man Nathan.
Orale pues.
And over here is the only man who can drive this because he's got a commercial driver's license.
Can't with Mr. Truck.
And we're going to take this bad boy up the Ike Gauntlet and see how it does compared to the Ram 3500, and that is coming up when?
Next on the Fast Lane Truck.
Stay tuned. Alright guys, here we are once again going up the Ike Gauntlet with a bloody half-track.
3, 2, 1, now.
Got it. Awesome. With a bloody half-track, Nathan. Thanks to our man, Mr. Truck here, Kent.
And Jim Grumbles owns it.
And thanks to Jim for doing it. By the way, he's selling this half-track. If you want a half-track, how much does he want for it, Kent?
Oh, I think 20, 22,000, whatever you feel like.
Yeah, right around there. So if you've always been a fan of military gear, we've got something in the back. But we're taking the brand new Ford F-350 up the mountain. And Nathan, you've got the pertinent numbers. Before you say those, I've got the numbers for the Ram 3500 that we took. And it went up the hill in 10.09.
Okay.
And it averaged 3 mpg. So the question is, will this truck go up faster even though we're being safe? So if there's some car ahead of us, we're not going to try to pass it. And what kind of MPG will we get? So what are the numbers on the Ford?
All right, so this has the 6.7 liter V8 POWERSTROKE diesel. Produces 440 horsepower at 2,800 RPM, and more importantly, 860 pound-feet of torque at 1,600 RPM. That's really impressive. Has a 6-speed automatic transmission. This one is a 4-wheel drive. Rear axle ratio is 3.73. Now, this truck is towing 21,600 pounds, which is a lot. And our tongue weight is 3,400 pounds.
Yeah, we're 15% on this one also.
15% on this one.
This is the King Ranch F-350, which means it's very, well, I'd say Western, but it's probably more Texan. It's got that Flying W brand everywhere. Now, Ford refreshed this a few years ago, at least a dash, made it a little bit more modern, but you know what? It's starting to feel a little bit dated, and there should be a new one coming in 2016. For the most part, everything you touch is soft. Everything feels like there's a good sense of quality about it, but look at that. That's a lot of plastic for a truck that costs as much as, well, let's face it, a 5 Series BMW.
Our GCWR, 30,800 pounds. Our GVWR is 14,000 pounds. Now, our maximum payload is 6,670 pounds. And the maximum gooseneck towing is 23,500 pounds. Yeah. Altogether, this is very close. The numbers are remarkably close to the Ram 3500 we just had, right?
Actually, yeah. 80 pounds separates the two.
Yeah,
80 pounds.
80 pounds, which is somewhat remarkable. The torque numbers are very close. Overall, they're very similar vehicles, but I got to tell you right now, this truck is quieter, does not sound as truck-like, and so far, the ride is a little bit better, I think.
Yeah, it's not quite as bouncy.
Yeah, it is quieter, definitely quieter.
And we're slowing down a lot because we're heading up the Ike Gauntlet, which is an extreme test of a truck's towing ability, and we have this thing almost loaded to its maximum towing capacity.
Are you wide open throttle?
Yes, I'm wide open throttle. We're under all of our numbers, so we're totally legal. Now we're in the trucker lane now, the last lane, but I was going 65 up to that point, so it's doing really well, and I like these RPMs coming up. I was kind of disappointed because a lot of times he's only running 1,800 RPM, and you need the horsepower. I mean, sure, torque starts you, torque holds you to the hill, the horsepower gives you the acceleration, and my RPMs were too low for that. And now it's actually done, the first part of this leg, it's had the high RPMs. We've been 2,500, which makes me happy. That's what you got to have to pull these kind of hills.
Check out these numbers: 440 horsepower, 860 pound-feet of torque. That's a monster. 6.7 liter diesel, built by Ford, hooked up to a 6-speed automatic transmission, also built by Ford, feeding all 4 wheels. This is a 4x4. And the rear end, 3.73. Baby, this thing is powerful. It puts out more horsepower than the Ram, and the torque numbers are pretty damn close. This is going to be a monster up the hill.
What modes are we in? What are you using? Are we using a tow haul mode?
We're using tow haul mode, exhaust brake. Right now we're in 4th gear. And coming down the hill, because I was trying to compare this right off the bat with the Ram, and the Ram has that automatic mode and the full mode.
Right.
And it held really well, about 60 miles an hour, not extreme grades. The other one you had to kick in, but it would actually move 10 miles an hour before it would hold you. And this one, you know, it's very similar to that. At 60 miles an hour, I had really good control where I didn't have to brake much, hardly at all. So I would call them much more similar than I used to think they were. So I don't know what's changed, but that's where that works. And two, there's a difference. This has the 373. The Ram had the 410 rear end axle ratio.
That's right.
When you have that lower axle ratio, your RPMs are a little higher, which helps with grade shifting. It does help with exhaust braking. So I had a little advantage with that lower gear. And this one, the next gear down, is a 370 or a 430, which is way down there.
My sense is we're going faster.
I think so too. Right now we're about 49 miles an hour, and we're running right under 3,000 RPM. So the mapping is great on this. It's holding. Of course, it has a torque band. It's holding the RPMs for the horsepower, which is what you need.
There's a big difference between the way Ram approaches diesels and the way Ford does, and that is Ford builds their diesels in-house.
Yep.
That's right.
This is a Ford engine. This is a Ford power plant.
That's brand new. Well, relatively new.
Relatively
new. 2011, yeah.
And the Cummins in the Ram and the transmission in the Ram are farmed from outside, obviously, Cummins. Right. So, I mean, the bottom line is that Ford has really worked on making their diesels better and better each time because, well, in the past, they've been known to be not as good.
And this is the second series PowerStroke 6.7. This one has a single turbo. The other one had two compressor wheels. Yeah,
and it sits right inside the right between the V of the engine block. Right,
that's the reverse flow.
It's interesting that they do that there.
And the Ike Gauntlet is starting in Silverthorne, Colorado, and going up to the Eisenhower Tunnel. Starts at about 9 or 10ish and goes up to
it's down at 8.5 to 9.
Yeah, it goes about 11 and a half, 12ish,
13,
yeah. And what makes this so hard, besides the fact that we're towing a bloody half track that's armored, is the fact that there's a lot less oxygen up here, about 30% less, which means that we're down. Well, with turbos you make up for that, but 30% less power, so that's a significant drop.
Well, it's not 30% less, but it's a significant drop.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know because different turbochargers work differently, right. and engines burn differently.
Induction does make up for it.
Yes, it does. It does help, but it doesn't completely mitigate it. That's the important point here.
And our new test trailer, again, with this load, with the hull this much weight, this 14,000 pound half track, is Load Max from Load Trail. This trailer has a GVW of like 24,000 pounds. It's got two 12,000 pound axles. So it's a heavy duty. This is 12-inch I-beam. I'm using a shocker hitch, which is basically like a teeter-totter with an airbag on it that takes some of the jerk out of it because, the truck and trailer are pretty solidly connected, so they feel each other every bump they hit. So I've got those separated. Got a couple toolboxes on here. 12-inch I-beam, 5-inch torque tube, very good trailer. We've got a 6-foot dovetail, 5-foot ramp, and this thing hauls smooth. It's steady. We haven't had anything move on us, so we've got about 15 to 16% tongue weight, right in that range. And the trailer doesn't sway, doesn't dip, doesn't tilt. So we got everything balanced pretty well. The whole truck and trailer are level. I like what we've got.
Hey, we're we're about to pass a semi-truck.
Yeah, we're going to rock this
I
dude.
think he's about 80,000. He looks pretty loaded. He's sitting on his springs. You know, this is the different turbo. 2011, they came out with a 32. I don't know if that's millimeters, but it's a Garrett turbo, 32. Okay, GM had a 36. So their exhaust brake really worked. The Ford didn't of those years. This is a 37, so it's a much bigger turbo. And that gives you that power, but it also does suck some of the fuel. I know they went to a different injection for 2015, but from what I've seen of this gets a little less fuel economy than what the previous one did.
Well, bigger turbos, more fuel is getting used because it's drawing that much more air. And speaking of that, we're getting 2.7, guys, so we're at 0.3 right now, less than we were when we got to the top of the hill.
With the Ram, yeah.
With the Ram.
This is very interesting. So one of the many questions we have to answer when we're deliberating about the Gold Hitch Award is it more important to get better mileage up the hill or better speed, better power? And that's a big question because there are many vehicles that'll go up this hill fast but get bad mileage, and there are other vehicles that go up this hill moderately slow and get much better mileage. That's kind of the thing. Which one do we really value?
That's true, and when you're only talking 3 to 4 miles to the gallon, 1 mile to the gallon is dramatic. It doesn't seem like it is, but you take that as a percentage, that's 25%.
That's right,
That's a
and
big
over time,
change, yes.
especially.
And the cool thing is, guys, when we do our deliberation, when we pick the best towing truck in the land, which we'll do for both heavy-duty gas and heavy-duty diesel, along with light-duty and mid-sized and best SUV, we're going to actually film that.
Yeah.
So you guys will see why we picked these different vehicles. It'll be right there, and you can argue about it in the comments. But yeah, this is a really good point. Is it about fuel economy or is it about power? Right now, my sense is that the Ram had better fuel economy, but this might have some more power and speed. We'll see.
Now there are a couple things I wanted to tell you about before I get on to style, and that is, first of all, its price. $67,800, so it's a couple $1,000s under the 3500 Ram. Now speaking of Ram, these fenders in this style, well, Ram kind of started that, but what's interesting is now Ram has a smooth all steel fender that comes up and around, and Ford is sticking to this. So very different ways of looking at exterior design and of course aerodynamics. Now as for the rest of the truck, you can't confuse it for anything else. It is a Ford. The front is mean looking. I really do like the way that they're doing this, but I hear it's all gonna change soon. What are you gonna do?
It certainly is quieter, and it certainly is smoother.
It is quieter, yeah.
I won't debate
think it's a
that.
little smoother, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but and they're very different, and at the same time, their numbers are so close. It's really impressive.
And a lot of people like the quiet, and a lot of people like to hear the diesel. I mean, they like that feel, so it's up to the individual buyer. Now, Roman, did you buy a CB for us?
Not yet, but we'll get a CB. We want to get a CB.
We need a CB.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need a name. Fancy Pants.
No, I have a name.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Iron Dumpling.
Iron Dumpling.
That's my name.
There you
Serious.
go. You get a lot of recurring calls from that.
All right, we're coming to the top, guys. We'll be
Oh,
close.
now what am I doing? I got a guy. Okay, he's letting me go to the last outside lane. We got our blocker car
Good,
there.
so we get a clean run. Nice work. Nice work.
Good job. We're down the fast lane.
We're almost 9.
Yeah, we're in the fast lane. I like it here.
So is this going to be really close, guys? Because can we make it to the lights in the next minute? That's the real question. And beat the time of the Ram. I think this is not going to beat the MPG of the Ram.
I'm pretty sure you're right about that.
But it's an interesting...
This last part is tough.
It's tough. You put your finger on it, Nathan. It really is. It's all about fuel economy versus power and speed.
Yeah, and
really
RPMs,
depends what you want.
We're 2,600 RPM. That's right where I want to be. I really like the way they mapped this. This fits the engine perfect. Now, another thing I want to talk about, you see the big holes in these wheels. Those are actually hand holes, like a semi has, just like my trailer has. You can go back here, and your hand will fit in there. So if you're trying to check the air pressure, your hand fits. You can take the cap off, or in Ford's case, they have flow-through caps, which I use too. So you just put your stick on the end of it, your air measuring device, and you can do that without taking the cap off. But Ford has the big holes like they should, because that you spend a lot of time checking these dual tires, because you can't always see them. When one goes flat, it can actually loosen up the other one. But you don't always know unless you're looking between them. So checking air pressure on duals is more important than checking air pressure on a single tire. You don't know when they're going down.
close, guys.
As long as the light doesn't turn red.
Yeah, we're at 920. Yeah, don't turn red light.
Yeah, so and this has been a clean run so far. So
Yeah, we passed RVs, we passed semis. We actually act like we're a powerful rig
I
here.
don't know if you guys can see this, but 9:34, 9:35. The lights are coming up very close.
I think we're going to beat
this
the
is going to
time.
be. Oh, this is going to be really good.
Ready?
And yeah, let me know. You call it,
And-
Nathan.
Now.
Oh, 944.88. 944.
What's the gas
I'm
mileage,
looking
Ken?
2.7 is what I'm saying.
2.7.
So we were 20, actually over 20 seconds faster, but 0.3 mpg in the deficit compared to the Ram with the Cummins.
Now, this is a very interesting thing. We're starting to see a pattern here with Ford versus Ram in terms of taking these hills. Ford has power. Ram seems to have efficiency.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Right, and Ford's is faster off the line. The Ram kind of does this rumbling thing more like a big truck.
Yeah,
This
the Ram
fast.
feels like more of a truck.
It does. You feel like you're in an 18-wheeler. It's been refined somewhat.
And I still feel like I'm in a truck because you can feel us pulling that weight. It feels heavy back there.
Yeah,
We
but
are-
this is smoother than the Ram a little bit. This is it's definitely more controlled on bouncing, and it's much quieter.
Yeah, and this trailer's acting really well. We're not bouncing. We're not porpoising. We're not swaying. Everything's right with the world, what we're doing here, this kind of weight. And, we are. We're up there 10 tons, above 10 tons. That's a lot of weight.
There's a lot of weight. Can you imagine doing that 30 years ago with a truck like this back then?
We would have had a 4-speed, and we would have been going a lot slower.
A lot slower.
And, it's kind of confusing because people, this is ostensibly a 1-ton truck, and people are like, well, 1-ton truck, is that all it can haul? And it's really about how much you can fit in the payload, and it goes back like a bunch of years, right? So
Yeah.
the designation between half-ton and 1-ton has been kind of made meaningless because the truck's capabilities are so much higher now.
Right.
And it's not about towing, it's about payload, by the way, guys, in case you're wondering what the distinction is there.
Yeah, look at the rating for class 1, 2, 3, and that's what you'll see where the brake is. Like this is on that 10,000 pounds and above.
All right, gentlemen, as we pop out here, I just want to say we're coming up on the Gold Hitch on April 8th. We are going to have an award ceremony that we are going to broadcast live. We're going to live stream it to TFL Truck. And then what we're going to do the very next day is if you come to TFL Truck's YouTube channel or the website, we're going to actually show our deliberation. So at this moment in time, we don't know which truck is going to win the best towing truck in the land award.
That's right, because there are numbers we still have to crunch, guys. It isn't just about what we're getting on his phone. It's not about all that. It's also about all the other numbers that we're keeping about all these vehicles.
And what we feel about them. Let's
Exactly.
face it. It's also about how we kind of felt driving them. So it's going to be a really interesting next few weeks. And come back on April 8th when we assign and we award and we crown the best towing truck. As always, this is Mr. Truck
Kent.
And Nathan.
saying thanks for watching, and check out tfltruck.com for more news, views, and a whole bunch of towing reviews. And by the way, guys, if you're wondering what happened to the GM, we love to test it. We contacted GM. They just could not get a truck to us.
Yeah, they just don't have one in the fleet that they could give to us. I think they really wanted to. It's just
I think
a
they
question.
wanted to. I'm not. They just didn't have it. Sometimes
Next year.
Next year, getting these trucks is, and we have tested it before. We just haven't tested it with the half track.
Yeah, which is a major bummer.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Ciao, guys.
Ciao.
Later.